This is Daf Yerushalmi Terumos. In the article, Oz V'Har edition, where Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph, Rishmur Ba'Abba Boy Meister Rishon, which is about halfway down the page. The last letter on the line is Resh, and then the first words on the next line are Shmuel Bar Abba. And it's in the Vilna. This should be Mamish, the top of Yud Zayin on the base. Which it is, Shmuel Rabba Boy. Okay, so the learning should be a schus for Yoshvi Eretz Yisrael. From there, and Jews become Makom Shem and are fighting against the forces of evil. Machshmam. Rishon Bar Abba Boy, Rishon Bar Abba asked the question. Ma'aser Rishon Sheidim Shibolim. Ma'aser Rishon is which you took off while still in the stalks. What's the story? Over the is of taking things out of order. Over El Seder, or do you only violate that halacha if it's Al HaSeder? And Al HaSeder, the Kavanaki explains that we're talking about. So you took off the meiser at the time when the grain was still exempt from the matanos, and the meiser does take effect. Nevertheless, the Beit African says that, but this meiser is always going to exempt from Truma Gedola. Truma meiser have to take off on it, but Truma's good. Even though they took the meiser for the Truma, you don't have to take off Truma Gedola. So do we say since there is no chiyuv of Truma Gedola afterwards, so there's nothing to do out of order, and you're not over unless you're mahapich the seder, unless you turn it upside down and do something before something else. But if you eliminate the other thing, then we're never going to do it, so then there's no out of order. Or do I say that you're over because you eliminated, precisely because you eliminated the chiyuv of truma from that you took off as meiser? And the Gemara does not resolve that question. This is but the Kavanah adds that this question, according to Man Damar previously, that said you're over mitchila. That was which Man Damar was that? Rabbi Chia bar Abba bar mitchila, when you're mafish the truma at the beginning, you're over. And Shmuel Yitzchak said only when you're mafish the bikurim at the end that you're over. So he says that it's only according to opinion that you're over mitchila, right? That according to Madam Basof, there is no sof here because you're never going to take off the truma. And so the question is, there when you took off the truma, there's still an obligation to take off bikurim. So therefore, you should be over. You're over. But here, since after you took off the meiser, there's no law. The chiyuv meiser is already taken off. Then there is no longer any chiyuv on it for meiser, and for the truma gedola either on this part of meiser. So perhaps you're not over altogether. Okay. So again, the question only about the marbit chila. But that's the kind of thing. It's Gabnoki's own chiddush that note. More goes on. Tani Kumi Rabbi Avo. They said a bright son for Rabbi Avo. Truma and Makevis is Bikurim. Somebody took off Truma first and then took off Bikurim. The Truma that taking on the Truma first is not impede the Bikurim from being proper Bikurim. And you can say vidui on them and say, so that's the case. Clearly, that's not like our Mishnah, because our Mishnah said you can't say if you take off the Truma first. Armalon, so the Rabbi Avo said to us, to them, the Abba Pnimon it doesn't argue on our Mishnah, because it's going like Abba Pnimon. let's see this. Tani coming to vote Truma because the Abba Pnimon. There's an argument in the Mishnah. Why is it not arguing in the Mishnah? Let's see. Rabbi Yossi, boy, hey, the Abba Pnimon. Which one is Abba Pnimon? Rabbi Mona, so Rabbi Mona said, Shamis the Abba, Tani Bikur. I heard that my father, Rabbi Yonah, Tani Bikurim Biyamenu, Tani Bikurim Biyamino, he learned Bikurim in his right hand, Uchum Smolo, and Uchum in his left hand. So this is talking specifically about where you did both at the same time, simultaneously. So evidently Abba Pnimon is talking about not when he took the Chuma before he became Echanami. That's no good. Then you can't do the video afterwards. But he's talking about rather a case where you did them both simultaneously. Basachas. East Tani, there's an opinion which holds over. And you do it simultaneously, you are over. He's Tani ain't over. There's an opinion which says when you do simultaneously, you're not over. Man de Omar over, Rabbanan. That it says, which over, Rabbanan says you have to specifically do the Bikurim before the Chuma. Man de Omar ain't over, Abba Pnimon. The one who says you're not over, that's Abba Pnimon. And by any event, it's not arguing our Mishnah, because our Mishnah is talking about one after the other, and Abba Pnimon will say about Bivas Achas. Now, it's still Machlekes, but a different Machlekes, not that of our Mishnah. The Rambam does not seem to talk about Bivas Achas. It's been the Kabbalah was on Shulchan, and the Rambam doesn't seem to be there. Okay. Hamiskamil Omar Chuma. So I wanted to say Chuma, Omar Meiser. He said Meiser instead. Meiser Omar Chuma, vice versa. Oil of Omar Shlomim. How am I say Oil and say it says Shlomim? Shlomim Omar Oila. Sheini Nichas Abai Zev, Omar Lazeh. I'm not going to this house, he said this house. Sheini Nene Lazeh, I'm not going to have enough for this person, Omar Lazeh, he said this person. Lo Omar Klum. It's meaningless. Until that which he says and that which he has in his heart are equal, and otherwise it's meaningless. So now the Gemara begins with the real Shas Sugya. Tamatina, we went over there. Several places actually. Primarily Nozir, Beth Lamed, and Yerushalmi Nozir. The Beishamrim Hekdesh Toast, it said Mezan Hekdesh by mistake. Still hekdesh. There's some ain't hekdesh, but it still says it's not hekdesh. Rabbi Yirmiyah said, "I feel about chulin. If a person came to say chulin, yeah, might be makdish at all. V'amar ola, and he said ola kachal beishametz kadosh. There's the Rabbi Yirmiyah, he says b'miskam hekdesh l'koyim. No. Let's not go that far. He has to have some kavanah to be makdish something. Ella Shutah Machmas Dover Acher, but he made a mistake on different accounts. And the Mishnah in Nazir gives an example. It says, Kate said, Omar Shor Shochash Yotzin basically Rishon, the black ox which comes out of my house first, Harei Hekdesh, Yotz Lavan, and a white one came out first, and only afterwards a black one came out. Beishamai Omrim Hekdesh. Shamai is Hekdesh. His mistake was he thought that the black one would come out first. But despite his mistake, Beishamai holds that the black one which comes afterwards is Kadosh. So because what he meant to say is the first of the black ones. So Hekdesh Tos means a mistake, but not a complete mistake. That he had in mind to say Chulin and said Hekdesh. V'ada Masdisin Mahi. Okay, what about our Mishnah? The Beishamai concede our Mishnah. That Rabbi Yirmiyah, no, they will not agree with our Mishnah because our Mishnah says that the Hekdesh Tos is not Hekdesh, and a case which is parallel to Chulin, Niskam V'Lomar Chulin V'Lomar Hekdesh, and therefore Beishamai would argue Mishnah. But I'll die to the Rabbi Yossi. Did Rabbi Yossi? No, because here it's a complete utter mistake, right? You had in mind to say Shuma, he said Meiser, so it's a equivalent to having in mind Chulin and saying Hekdesh, where according to Rabbi Yossi it's not valid, and even according to Beishamai, Hekdesh Tos in that case is not valid Hekdesh. Okay, so it says more further. Tani, Bisvasayim v'lo belev. If a person was making a shvua that shvua only takes place if he actually expresses it verbally. And that's based on pasuk. And Torah's Kohen says based on pasuk. On nefesh kisi shabal batei b'sfasayim. Vayikra perakei pasuk dalet. The Torah's Kohen says yocham mahar b'lev yechayev. Somebody that has thinks in his mind a shvua is he chayev? No. Tamar is fasayim below b'lev. Says with one's lips, not with the heart. So Yochni motzi es hagoymer b'lev. So what about somebody has in mind to actually say only think the shvua and not to say it? There's a fascinating case. That do I say that in fact is a valid shvua? In other words, if he had in mind to say it and he got arrested and saying it for some reason and just thought it, okay, maybe that's not a shvua. But he had in mind that he, Dafka, wanted to only think the shvua. He had no intention of saying it. But he had his grammar belevo, belev sholem. Is that included? No, still. Tamalam levate. Even that shvua does not take effect. Shmuel said, "HaGoymer belibo eno chayiv ad sheyotze misfosav." Somebody who the Shmuel is explaining, the Bryce is saying, somebody who's goymer belibo is complete, has complete das, he still has to express it verbally. Is not chayiv to express it verbally. V'atani kol nediv leiv. It says kol nediv leiv. This is by Truman the Mishkan. Parashat Truman says kol nediv leiv yiviyah. And so if that's the case, just by having in mind in your heart, that should be enough to be mechayiv you. The Tanya is the kol nediv leiv zeh gomer beliv. Right? So it would seem to me that is even somebody who makes a internal determination without any expression. So, so Shmuel is going to answer you and say, well, is it really Gomer Lev or only when you express with your lips? When it says the expression of your lips you should keep. So that's talking about what you express with your lips. So what did it say? It seems that this is a separate thing. Right? Is one thing, but should be another thing. So it seems that you're even when you're just nediv leiv, you're obligated by what you decided to do. And what answers my Amar Shmuel korban and Chanami. You're only chayav a korban shvua when you express it verbally and you're over the shvua. The Tana who's learning from the nediv leiv holds that the neder and the dava take effect. You have to be there even if you only thought the neder. So the Lamaisa, the Shulchan in your Dea, Simon Ray should see. If says Eina neder chal shows to be svosab if you have piva libo shavin. You have to A, express it, and B, it has to be that you said what you meant, and you meant what you said. So I think that's important here too. And this is true both about a neder and about a shvua. But if I recall correctly, that in terms of tzedakah, there is a concept of it being a chiyuv, even if you just thought it, even if you didn't express it verbally. See if it's out here. Let's go about it. A lot of things here in the article, but I don't see. Anything here about the tzedakah issue. It does bring down here. brings down here that I love this from Torah's rhyme here. He says that even things in which machshava is effective, that's only if you're gomer belibo to have the thing take effect by machshava. Yeah, but that's not. That's what you talk about halacha here. It just brings out a lot of marmakomis. Nothing. He doesn't bring out any definitive suckum here. So it's actually in the Ramah, your dad's generation, Chesif Yugimel. Im Chashav Li B'Litain Eza Dov B'Tzaka, you taught in internally to give say the Tzaka Chai B'Kai Machshavto. That for Machshavav Ein Tzarech Hamira. Eladim Amar Mechai B'No Solakain. The only difference between thinking and saying is that if you said it, we compel you to do it. That's the Mordechai and I guess it goes to Shrin, Marik, Rabbi Peretz, and goes to Smak and the Rush. V'yeshmin, that's the first bit. Yeshnim lo tzibul if you didn't express it verbally, ain't no klum. That's the Shuvas Rush. Because for Rishoina, and he says the primary halacha is like the first svara that if you have a gomer belibo to give tzedakah, you're obligated. I can't compel you, but you're obligated to give the tzedakah. So that is the source. Then there's a whole discussion of whether writing down a neder is like a neder. In other words, if you had in mind only if you had in mind to give tzedakah only if you actually express it verbally. So even though you're going to believe, it's not enough. You have to actually express it verbally. But what if you didn't express it verbally? But you expressed it in writing? So the person discussed it. The person discussed it. The Aruch HaShulchan. Hilchos says, "Im nishba b'ksav yesh machlokes im avishvu im lav. It's machlokes im shvunam b'shul see b'shvu levatei b'sfasayim." Says vatei b'sfasayim mashe dafka b'dibur avishvu. So when you say it, vein savek yesh lahachmir. Nevertheless, he says the machmir chomer abon shvua because the severity of the avei of shvua vodim amamon or b'chol shvun b'chayv m'shav yasas l'chavero. Also, in any shibud, you mechayev yourself to your friend. Mischayev some b'ksav chayev kamo imoyim mischayev esatzmo b'fiv. Just as if you were chayev yourself verbally. But on the contrary, mischayev b'ksav chiva olim yotzer. It's more powerful for you. It's a chumar atem eidai. You don't have to say atem eidai. Ve'en yechol mar shatei bach. You can't say I was just kidding around. You can't have shvos b'ksav v'yem momen mahani. So the shvos b'ksav in terms of momen is effective. Okay, that's I think enough for us for today.